Miriam College International Studies Department. He researches policy issues relating to historical, religio-cultural, socio-political, economic, environmental, and security aspects of the Bangsamoro society, and explores decolonial knowledge sources of the global south as well as interdisciplinary study between Islam and international relations. Since 2012, he has founded 4 network associations, 1 academic journal, 5 book series, and has published a number of edited books, numerous journal articles, policy papers, book chapters, discussion papers, encyclopedic essays, and reference entries. He has received more than 23 accolades, including the Noam Chomsky Global Connections Emerging Scholar Award, the BTA Legislative Resolution of Commendation, UP Scientist Conferment, UP Centennial Professional Chair Award, the Outstanding Young Men, or TOYM Honor, UP Professional Chairholder Award, amongst others. Our first presentation will be from the Islamic perspective, focusing on moral governance in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. Let's welcome Dr. Yasif Nabilan Adyong, Director of the Bangsamoro Department's Policy Research and Legal Services.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum to everyone, and also greetings to all of the distinguished personalities who are present today in this session. And I think that this is the very first and very important session that we'll be handling and talking and discussing about what's the importance of faith, since the thesis presentation of Dean Berse kanina na naipresent na niya ang kanyang thesis, ano bang importansya ng panampalataya at pagiging reliyoso natin bilang Pilipino dahil sa loob ng 3 dekada, ang pinag-aaralan natin when we talk about governance is always it has always been Western secular governance. And yet, we haven't yet moved on to what we speak of, destroying the corruption in the Philippines. So ngayon, this time around, let's see ano bang may ambag, ano bang maging contribution ng faith, panampalataya, or religious beliefs sa ating pamamahala. Ito naman ay it's not even different or hindi naman ito kaiba sa Muslim societies, because for a very long time, for more than 1,400 years, 1,400 years of Muslims' existence as a civilizations or multi-polyphonic civilizational societies, religion has always been part of the political society of each Muslim countries. Bago pa dumating ang mga Kastila, meron na tayong sultanate system, meron na tayong rajanate, datu, at iba't ibang mga interventions, divine interventions. And ano bang importansya ng divine or revealed knowledge? Kaya nga sinasabi natin na when you speak of European or Eurocentric knowledge, kaiba ito when we speak of Islamic revealed knowledge. Kasi unang-una, revealed knowledge is about the sources of the Quran, the sources of the Hadith and Sunnah of the Prophet, and how for a very long time Muslim scholars have depicted and studied the importance of Islam in everyday normative lived realities of Muslims. At hindi lang naman itong pinag-usapan natin ng mga kapwa Muslims, but also as well as when you remember when the first constitution, unang-unang saligang batas that the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, have concocted together with the Jews and the Christians when he was invited to settle the disputes in Medina. He formed a constitution, the Medina Charter, for about 10 years, and recognizing the belief systems of the Christians and the Jews as people of the book in Islam. Makikita nyo rin ito sa Ottoman Empire. So Ottoman Empire, with their Tanzimat laws and canons of laws during the Ottoman, ang difference ng colonization, ayon, the word coloniality, when they invade, they colonize societies. The Europeans, the Americans, when they invade societies, they colonize. Ibig sabihin, they change the social fabric of the society based on what they think is a civilized culture. Pero kaiba ito sa mga Muslims. When Muslims expanded, they only invade, but they did not touch, they did not, they did not change the social fabric of societies, because sa Quran nakasaad doon na you cannot enforce Islamic belief system sa mga taong ayaw naman mag-convert sa Islam. Kaya nga nanatili pa rin yung local customs, yung local mores and folklores and cultures ng mga societies kung saan napailalim sa mandato at sa liderato ng Muslim civilizations. Kaya ang unang-unang makikita mong talagang principle pag pinag-usapan ay Islamic civilization is the word diversity. Kaya makikita mo that Islamic practices, Muslims of different cultures from Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, even in Muslims in US or Muslims in Thailand or in here in Southeast Asia, they all have different sets of understandings and morals and folkways. Even the Chinese Muslims, the Uyghurs, the Hui Muslims, they also have different perspectives. Pero they have all the same sources of Islam's, and these are the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet. And as well as, when we talk about Muslim jurists, they also included Qiyas, analogy. They also included, Shura, Ijma, consensus, and Ijtihad, or the independent qualified reasoning in Islam. So these are some sources of Islam that you can take a look into. Pero pag-usapan natin ngayon ay moral governance. So paano ba bigla itong nag-exist na lang sa Bangsamoro government kung sa ilang dekada na nag-exist, na-establish ang Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao, bakit ngayon lang na-introduce, bakit ngayon lang na pag-usapan ng mga Bangsamoro communities? Unang-una, hindi ko alam kung ano ba ang idea kung bakit the MLF, Moro Islamic Liberation Front, ay nakita nila na kailangan mag-establish sila ng moral governance. Ang sabi kasi, can we go to the next slide? Ito pala yung ito yung contents ng pag-usapan natin. This is very, very brief. Una-una pag-usapan natin, ano ba ang idea? What's the idea behind moral governance? Okay, thank you. And yung contribution ko, yung theoretical principles, I had to emphasize because itong na-publish ko on moral governance in Bangsamoro, I somehow, it depicts of what the moral governance are intended to do so, especially when you apply it, the application in legislation and programs. So, nagsimula ito, hindi naman sinasabi ng MILF na nung panahon nila Ms. Wari o panahon ng ARMM, the times of the Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao, ay hindi sila moral o immoral. Pero parang ganun rin yung kanilang messaging with the MLF na they think because of the pervasive corruption that had been existing and have built within the internal dynamics and structure and spirit of the regional government. Diba? Bakit na-establish na ang peace settlement and yet ngayon na naman, meron na namang another peace settlement. Will history repeat itself? Magkakaroon na naman ba pag halimbawa sa election sa susunod na taon tapos hindi nanalo ang MLF? Will they go back and then rebel or an offshoot of another MLF because they weren't blessed with the black grant that we're talking about? So the idea is simple. Sabi ni Foreign Chief Minister when he was interviewed in 2019 sa Istanbul, Turkey, sabi niya, and I quote, when we joined the government, we found out that there are so many anomalies in the government. Marami daw anomalya sa pamamahala. So when we see, if we cannot change the system, then there is no way we will succeed. For example, corruption, sabi niya ganon. The corruption is built already in the government. It is automatic because it is already built in. That's why our advocacy is moral governance. Yun daw ang advokasya ng MILF-led Bangsamoro government. And for the very first time, when people join the government, we let them take oath of the Constitution and to take oath to Allah, a noble oath to ensure that this moral governance will be the basis. So when we say we are not imposing the moral virtues of Islam because kaya sinasabi nila na hindi naman kami dito nagtatayo ng Islamic State, 'di ba? Pinag-uusapan lagi 'yan in the post-colonial era, in 1900s, Orientalism at iba't ibang literatura na babasa nyo, Al-Qaeda, ISIS na wanted to establish an Islamic State. Yun sabi nila, hindi daw sila, ang intention daw nila ay hindi daw nag-establish ang Islamic State. Pero tingnan natin, ganun ba ang pronouncement sa realidad na nangyayari ngayon sa Bangsamoro government? Sabi niya dito na we are very careful also because maybe they will be saying we are establishing an Islamic government, which is not very popular among the other people in the area. Sabi rin ni Chief Minister that the moral governance must start from the call up for jihad or struggle with an oath before the Quran. And itong oath na to, oath or allegiance to moral governance has been, nailagay sa policy actually when we take a look at the application, nailagay nila sa batas na lahat ng mga magtatrabaho sa Bangsamoro government, I will take an allegiance and oath to moral governance. Sabi niya, he emphasized that the moral background of our governance is our faith, ang ating panampalataya, and that must define what moral means for ourselves before we can start on governance. So, yan yung sinabi ni Chief Minister. Pero malabo, parang ang daming tao na ano bang ibig sabihin ng moral governance? Kasi sa loob ng ilang dekada ang pinag-uusapan natin at lagi natin pinag-aralan when we always study about secular governance. Especially dahil na-colonize tayo ng maraming colonizers, they impose to us what is a political system must be. At ito yung sinasabi nating nation state, 'di ba? Yung estado, nation state system. Sabi sa nation state system sa 1925 Montevideo Declaration of a State, it must have a government, a people, it must have also a territory and the element of sovereignty or kasarinlan. So ito rin naman pinaglalaban ng mga Bangsamoro ay magkaroon rin sila ng sarili nilang kasarinlan. Di ba matagal na nilang pinaglalaban na kailangan maitatag na ang ating tinatawag na self-determination sa bansang Pilipinas dahil nakikita nila na lagi silang namamarginalize, lagi silang nai-ignore o nane-neglect or walang nangyayaring karampatang economic progress sa Bangsamoro governance. So, maraming agam-agam, maraming nagtatanong ano bang ibig sabihin ng moral governance. Ito yung pinakasimpleng maaaring sabihin nyo na ayon sa liderato ng Moro Islamic Liberation Front, pero sa aking pananaw, maaari nating magamit yung legislation, yung Bangsamoro Organic Law para tingnan paano ba may apply ang moral governance kung wala naman doon sa batas na nagbubuo sa pag-establish ng Bangsamoro government. At ito yung Republic Act 11054 o the Bangsamoro Organic Law. Next slide. Napakaikli lang kasi meron lang ako mga 7 slides, 5 slides kasi mas importante sa akin yung diskusyon. Ngayon, ito, nag-isip ako, ano ba yung mga prinsipyo, principles na talagang extant at very important sa Islam? Pero kasi, di ba, pag sabi nating Bangsamoro, hindi lang naman mga Muslims ang nakatira dyan. Meron tayong mga IPs, indigenous peoples, meron tayong mga community settlers o yung mga Christian settlers, meron yung mga Chinese communities like sa Cotabato. Dati may mga Chinese communities sa Municipality of Malabang, and iba't ibang mga community representations and identifications. Pero dito, ang limitasyon ng aking pag-uunawa sa pagsasaad ng theoretical principles ay nakasaad lang sa Islam. So, hindi ko pa naisasaliksik. I haven't researched upon the IP knowledge system, the Christian community settlers or the Chinese community settlers that talks about and how they could relate to moral governance. So what I'm speaking of as a locale and a limitation of what I'm presenting to you all is the Islamic moral governance. So nakita ko dito that there are 5 theorems or general principles that emphasize the importance of moral governance. And we speak of faith first, freedom, moral authority, common good, and social ethics. Sa Bangsamoro Organic Law, it's very enshrined within the preamble, sabi nila, imploring the aims of Almighty God or Allah in the recognition of the aspirations of the Bangsamoro people, reflective of their system of life as prescribed by their faith, in harmony with their customary laws, cultures, and traditions. Ito ngayon ang tanong. Medyo kasi, pag sinabi mong otonomiya, ay ano ito sa koneksyon o nalilimitahan ba ang expression of autonomy or given na mayroong autonomous power ang Bangsamoro government and yet kailangan talaga dapat within the ambit of the Constitution, Philippine Constitution. Halimbawa, 'di ba naging issue yung Child Marriage Act, 'di ba? Anti-Child Marriage Act. Kasi nga hindi daw nakonsulta. Naging itong national law ito, naging batas sa buong Pilipinas, pero parang nakita ng mga members of the parliament, hindi sila nakonsulta patungkol sa kultura ng mga Bangsamoro pag-uusapan ay child marriage or Anti-Child Marriage Act. Kasi binibigyan, kinicriminalize ang mga magulang pag nag-perform ng child marriage. Pero ano ba ang discussion or reflections of cultures within a society o sa batas, national law? Ganun rin. So, maaari ang members of the parliament can create their own version of national laws. Kaya nga, the priority legislations ng Bangsamoro, they have the Administrative Code, the Education Code, the Civil Service Code, the IP Code, the Revenue Code. Lahat meron naman yan. Or even the Bangsamoro or the LGU, Local Government Code. Merong karampatang versions ng Bangsamoro o government. Ikalawang theorem ay ang freedom or kalayaan or masasabi natin kasarinlan. Sabi dito sa Islam, accountability and responsibility characterizes freedom. Islamic freedom is an inward act that links the spiritual self with exaltation connected to dignity and respect. It tacitly entails and necessitates knowledge of heaven and earth and of virtues and vices, whereas the ultimate exercise of freedom is precisely the operation of being free from the influence and domination of egotistical desires that may incite evil. The state of perfect submission to Allah, the choice of good, and the wanton affection of the transcendent are attributes pertaining to individual freedom and Muslim societies. At makikita ito actually sa Article 4, General Principles and Policies sa Organic Law ng Bangsamoro, Section 10, Freedom of Choice. Makikita rin ito sa Article 9, Basic Rights ng mga Bangsamoro on Section 5, Religious Freedom. Ikatlong principle na nakikita ko on how to theorize the understanding of moral governance na maaaring may apply sa iba't ibang programa ng pamahalaan ng Bangsamoro is yung moral authority. And moral authority is legitimized if it serves the higher purpose of objectives of Sharia. Yung sinasabi natin maqasid al-Sharia, including the epistemological sources of Islam. Yung pinaka-crucial dito of moral authority in Sharia is to regulate the welfare and prevention of harm by considering the significance of, and ito yung 5 elements in Islamic Sharia: life, the importance and significance of life, intellect, faith, wealth, and progeny, or securing your descendants or offspring. So, makikita mo sa Quran and the Sunnah, yung mga tacit sayings and practices of the Prophet establishes the sovereignty belonging to Allah alone, and humans are endowed with a mandate to govern through popular vicegerency. Dito makikita mong moral authority, naka-imbibe rin ito sa Article 4 ng Bangsamoro Government, Section 3 on Democratic Political System, Section 4 on Electoral System, Section 5 on Civilian Government, and then Article 9 on Basic Rights. Dito makikita yung women representation. Kaya nga 'di ba sa darating na eleksyon sa 2025 May, magkakaroon na ng women's sectoral representative as sitting membership ng parliament sa Bangsamoro. Hindi lang para sa mga kababaihan, pati rin sa mga kabataan, the youth, sectoral, mayroon rin mga ulama, traditional leaders, and among others. And then yung ikaapat, bago sa huling elemento, ay yung common good o yung ano ba yung kakabuti para sa nakakarami. In an Islamic-rooted governance, it is characterized by public welfare or maslaha. And is also characterized by istisla or public interest. Makikita mo sa Bangsamoro Organic Law, when you look at what is the common good in terms of moral governance, makita ito sa Article 5, Powers of the Government, which is on Section 3, General Welfare. At yung pinakahuli naman ay yung social ethics. Ng moral governance. It constitutes the following interrelated theorems of community. Napaka-importante. When you compare European or American, 'di ba mas importante sa kanila ang individuality ng isang tao. Pero sa Islamic civilization, ang binibigyang emphasis at halaga ay hindi ang individual, kundi ang community, ang society itself, the ummah, the community. Ano ba ang mas ikakabuti na nakakarami sa isang komunidad? Kaya nga, pag magsasagawa tayo ng mga batas o polisiya, laging titinan natin, or yung mga research nyo, when you do your research and publish, the most important thing is how it will contribute to the development of your own community. Yon. And then trust, importante, justisya, justice, peace, and equality. Makikita mo maraming nakasaad yan sa Bangsamoro Organic Law, ang social ethics of moral governance. Nandito yung Section 6 ng Article 4, Promotion of Unity, Section 7, Social Justice, Section 9, Rights of Non-Moro Indigenous Peoples, and dun rin sa basic rights, yung Section 6 on human rights, Section 8, Right of Access to Basic Services, Section 10, Rights of Labor, Section 13, Rights of the Youth, and Section 14, Rights of Children. At nandun rin sa Article 13 on Regional Economy and Patrimony, the rights of indigenous people to natural resources. Makikita mo lahat yan. So, let's go to the application. Next slide. Yan. So, una-una, application pagdating sa pagsasagawa ng batas or legislation. Makikita mo na una, nakita natin na ito ang idea ng moral governance ayon sa MILF. Sumunod, nakita natin paano natin ma-theorize, mapag-isipan ng mabuti. Ano ba ang, what is the significance of moral governance in the Bangsamoro Organic Law. At nakita naman natin, na-establish naman natin yon. Ngayon, i-apply naman natin ang theory of moral governance o ang idea or concept of moral governance sa etong dalawang aspeto na ito, sa legislation at saka sa programs or government programs na gagamitan ng public funding or government funding. Unang-una, sa aspeto ng legislatura, dinefine nila ang moral governance doon. Makikita mo doon sa BAAT 13 or Bangsamoro Autonomy Acts 13 ng Bangsamoro Admin Code that moral governance refers to the set of rules, practices, and processes completely devoid of all evils of graft and corruption, and explicitly driven by the moral principles of utmost dedication, devotion, honesty, justice, and integrity. Diba? So tatanungin mo, ano yung mga rules na yan, practices, and processes na devoid daw ng evil. So, makikita mo talaga dito sa admin code na unang-una meron silang tinatawag na introductory provisions that the Bangsamoro government in pursuit of moral governance shall maintain honesty. So nakita mo lahat yan. Sumunod naman dito is yung ethics in government. Sinabi rin dito sa admin code, all public officers and employees shall be guided by the core values of moral governance. And sumunod dito, lahat daw ng mga nagtatrabaho sa Bangsamoro government is mandated, mandatory sa kanila to take the oath of moral governance. Yung sinasabi nila dito na I swear to the Almighty Allah, the most supreme, the beneficent, and the merciful and all-knowing, I shall perform my duties and responsibilities entrusted to me as part of the Bangsamoro government with utmost dedication and so on and so forth. Ngayon, sa next slide, Ayan. So, pagdating mo, pagbasa mo sa BAA 17, Bangsamoro Autonomy Act, sa Bangsamoro Civil Service Code, naidagdag ang salitang excellence or ihsan. Marami kasing ibig sabihin ng ihsan sa Islam. It could be beauty, perfection, excellence, honor, among others. So, dito, ang sinabi nila, idagdag daw ang salitang excellence. Kaya nga, dito, nakasaad sa Bangsamoro Civil Service Code na when you hire people to serve in the Bangsamoro government, ang screening process must include test of fitness and commitment to moral governance. So, paano mo 'di ba, ma-operationalize yung commitment to moral governance? So, mag-a-apply ka, dapat committed ka sa moral governance. Tapos, kailangan rin daw na pag nakapasok ka na-hire ka na sa Bangsamoro government, magkakaroon ng onboarding program. And sabi dito sa onboarding program ng BARM Civil Service Code, there should be an inculcation of moral governance principles and practices. Mamaya sasabihin ko sa paano na-inculcate? Ngayon nagtatrabaho na sila sa Bangsamoro government. How would you inculcate moral governance in the lives of all the workers in the Bangsamoro government? Unang-una, sabi nila, there should be adherence to moral governance. The application of commitment to moral governance requires a sense of sincerity, ikhlas, perfection, itkaan, excellence, ihsan, and optimism, tafa'ul. So, ito yung mga sinasabi nila sa adherence to moral governance by civil servants na nagwo-work sa BARM. Makita nyo rin na sa lahat ng mga strategic planning of many offices in BARM, laging nakasentro ang kanilang mission vision sa moral governance, yung strategic goals nila dapat lagi nakasentro sa moral governance kasi yun na ang instruction ng government of the day o ng Moral Islamic Liberation Front. And there should be a genuine and meaningful exercise of autonomy. Ngayon, sa next slide, makikita natin na ito na yung pinaka-last slide ko. Yung application ng moral governance sa lahat ng programa ng Bangsamoro government. Unang-una, makikita nyo yan, yung sinabi ko nga sa number 1. And then yung number 2, values transformation training and values enhancement training. Nung undergo ako ng values transformation training. Ibig ba sabihin nito, yung values ko as Filipino, as Bangsamoro or Maranao, ay kailangan ma-align sa values and principles of moral governance? Yun ang motivation and behind. Pero nung pag mag-undergo ka ng VTT and VET, it's all about Islam. Parang nag-enroll ka sa Islamic seminar o sa kumbento. Parang ganon ang struktura at proseso at pananaw ng values transformation training at values enhancement training na parang talagang nag-aral ka ng Islam o pumasok ka sa Islamic seminar. And then, yung pinakahuling application nito, yung program ni Chief Minister na support to local moral governance. Ito yung pagbibigay ng mga suporta sa mga LGUs, sa mga municipalities, sa mga mayors, governors, city government, na syempre pag ang LGU is adhering to moral governance, makakakuha ka ng karampatang tulong o pondo mula sa Bangsamoro government. At alam naman natin kung sino ba itong mga LGU, sino ba itong mga mayors and governors na nabibigyan ng tulong mula sa pondo ng Bangsamoro government. So, ito lang, dito muna ako magtatapos at bibigyan natin ng panahon para sa mga reactors at sa ikalawang speaker natin on the side of the Christian perspective of governance para magkaroon tayo ng magandang usapan at diskusyon at may sama namin kayo patungkol sa importansya ng panampalataya sa pamamahala. Maraming salamat.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adyong. Now we will hear the Christian perspective on faith and social change to be presented by former Chief Justice of the Philippines, Maria Lourdes Sereno, founder of Bawat Isa Mahalaga. Allow me to introduce her first. So Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Serrano is living proof and true courage is forged through adversity. She rose from humble beginnings to become the country's first female Chief Justice in 2012. She attended public elementary and secondary school, then pursued higher education through scholarships. She graduated valedictorian from the UP College of Law in 1984 and holds a Master's of Law degree, specialized